Most people can't be alone for 10 minutes without reaching for their phone. And you can sit with yourself for hours and enjoy it. They call that a problem. I call that a superpower you haven't fully understood yet. Here's the truth nobody's willing to tell you yet. The people that are most uncomfortable with your solitude are the same people who haven't yet learned how to be comfortable with their own. Their noise isn't concerned for you. It's their mirror they don't want to look into. So no, we're not explaining ourselves today, we're going deeper than that. What I want to do in this video is give you a framework for understanding why you are the way that you are. And why that's not a flaw to fix, but a foundation to build on. We're going to talk about what solitude actually does to a person on a psychological level, why most people are terrified of it, how it became the single best catalyst for my own growth, and how you can stop apologizing for something that is quietly making you stronger every single day. And this isn't a feel-good video, this is an honest one. Let me give you a different lens to this. The average person spends less than 3 minutes in genuine silence every day. Not sleeping, silence. Intentional, undistracted, alone with their own thoughts. 3 minutes. Why? Because sitting with yourself is one of the hardest things a human can do. When there's no noise, no input, or no person to speak to, you are left with only your own thoughts. And most people's thoughts are the things they're actively running from. And the discomfort you see in people when you choose your own solitude, that's not judgment, that's projection. Because they cannot imagine to sit with themselves and face the version of themselves that they've been actively running from. And you're not antisocial. You're one of the rare people who has learned or is learning to sit with themselves in silence and not flinch. And that is not a personality quirk. That's a psychological development most adults never reach. Most people are playing a game they never choose, by rules they never made, towards a destination they don't actually want. That happens because they never stopped long enough to ask the question. Solitude is where the question gets asked. When you're constantly surrounded by people, their needs, their opinions, their energy, you're always responding. You're always calibrating yourself to the room. And over time, without actually realizing, you stop actually thinking what you actually want and who you actually are underneath all that performing. I had a friend who needed to know everything I was doing. Every step, every decision, or like every shift I had to tell them. And I remember sitting there and realizing I can't grow if I have to narrate my life in real time. Because growth is not a live broadcast, it happens in silence. The people who build the most solid identities are not the people who talk about themselves the most. They are the ones who spend the most time alone to actually know who they are. And you cannot know yourself in a crowd, you can only perform in one. I want to be precise here because vague inspiration is worthless. When I started to choose solitude, not as a default because I had nowhere to be, but as an active choice, 3 things changed. First, my decisions got clearer. When you're not constantly filtering your thoughts through other people's opinions, you start making choices that are actually yours, not compromises, not people-pleasing. Actual decisions that are rooted in what you believe and what you want. Second, my tolerance for discomfort increased. There's a specific kind of strength that only gets built when you sit with something uncomfortable without immediately running to someone and tell them. I would come home from something difficult, a conflict, a bad day, or a moment of public embarrassment. And instead of calling someone immediately or like reaching out for my phone, I would just sit with it, walk with it, let it be uncomfortable. And every single time I come through with something that I wouldn't have gotten out of a conversation, a deeper understanding of myself. Third, the people I allowed in my life got better. When you stop being desperate for company, you stop allowing bad company. Simple as that. Let's talk about the difference between input and output. Most people obsess over outputs. Recognition, rewards, or results. The best operators obsess over input. The thinking, the work, or the preparation nobody sees. Solitude is an input. Every hour you spend genuinely alone, walking, thinking, reading, is an hour of compound investment for the way that you think, in the clarity of your decisions, or like in the way that you are. The world rewards people with strong identities. People who know exactly who they are, People who don't need a room to agree to them, who can walk into any environment and not lose themselves. That is not confidence you perform. That is confidence you build in private. You're not behind because you rather be alone. You're actually ahead. As long as you use that time wisely, like to build something internally instead of avoiding the world. And there's a difference between solitude and hiding. One is for construction and the other one is fear. Know which one you're in. So here's what I want you to do right now. Only one thing that you do on your own that other people think are weird, but you do it because it fills you up. A walk, reading, cooking, just existing in the quiet, whatever it is. Because I think more people think this way that the world lets in, right? So the people who changed the world weren't the loudest people in the room. They were the ones that spent enough time alone to actually figure out what they want and why they want it. Protect that time. It's not empty, it's everything.